Good evening, everyone. Welcome for joining us again on another UAE chapter webinar. And as we have attendees from different time zones, so let's wait for 4 to 5 minutes so that we have more people who will be joining. I know this is a busy schedule. People must be getting free from their work. So let's wait for at least 4 minutes or 5 minutes so that we have whosoever wants to join so they can join and then we can start the session. In a meanwhile, you can introduce yourself in the chat box by sharing your LinkedIn IDs so that you get a chance to do the networking with other attendees and those who are from the same background, at least they can get a chance to do networking. So we welcome everyone. So we have till now we have 57 attendees. Also, do share from where you're joining so that we get to know from in our database that where people are joining from. So we have people running from Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Doha, Kuwait, Fujairah. So we have people who are like first timers, and also we have people who are always joining in our webinars. Welcome Ajo, welcome Amit, welcome Enrique, welcome Bijoy. So we have people from Qatar. Good evening, Amit. Welcome Ala. Welcome Renaud. Welcome Rahil. Welcome Saurabh. So this time we have people mostly from Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Fujairah. Welcome Ihab. Welcome Saurabh. Welcome Swapnil. Welcome Kamal. Kamal, welcome. Kamal is joining from USA. Welcome Nadia. Welcome Rahil again. So till now we have 78 attendees who have joined. Let's wait for more 2 minutes so that we have more whosoever wants to join. Let them join first. Okay, good evening, everyone. As we have people joining from different time zones, as I already said. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and because I can see people have joined from Greece, people have joined from US and UAE, MENA region. So, good evening, everyone. So, we welcome you to another PMI UAE chapter webinar, and we are so excited to have you joining us today. I know a few people must have ended their day and few people must be on their beginning of the day. So welcome. So we will be exploring today's topic, which is leading sustainable transformation through people, purpose, and culture. So my name is Ankur Arora, and I am the host for today's sessions, along with my colleague Amir and Achal. So before we begin, I would like to thank everyone for joining and our distinguished speaker who will be sharing her knowledge on the topic. So as we already discussed always that this session will have two PDUs, and to claim those PDUs, if you have registered with your registered PMI UA ID, so you'll be getting the PDUs for the session. So we encourage you to actively engage throughout the sessions. You can post your comments, your uh, thoughts, suggestions in the chat box, and any question and answers. If you have questions for Eva, our speaker for the today, you can post it in Q&A section. Before we start, as we are introducing, you're already introducing, you can share your LinkedIn IDs. So let's begin with our chapter presentation. Okay, so we are a part of PMI chapter, UA chapter, PMI Institute UA chapter. PMI was founded in 1969 by a group of working project managers. And again, after 50 years, we are now the source and resource for all the things in project management. We are one of the largest association in the world. We offer training, accreditation, and communities. We also issue a globally recognized standard and credentials. And apart from this, we sponsor and publish research, thoughts, leadership, and knowledge content. Our chapter vision: empower and influence individual with the innovative project economy principles to turn ideas into reality. Our chapter mission: to disrupt and create value-driven opportunities to our chapter members and partners to become agile, innovative, productive in the platform for the growth of project economy. We are totally run 100% by the volunteers, and till now we have 4,000 plus active chapter members. We are also ranked amongst the top five chapter in PMI region, EMI region, focus on top leading industries and trends. We are serving the UA aspiring community of project managers, PMI certified holders, and project and program professionals that are seeking the project management capabilities and offering and believing in the importance of our profession. We are totally dependent on you in making this chapter successful and amongst top five chapters throughout the region. Our chapter board, led by Mr. Adil Sultan, he's the president for PMIUA chapter, and who is getting supported by chapter directors from other domains. The membership benefits, once we are a part of, we have the membership, so we get these benefits. We get an access to PMI PMBOK guide. We get a certification discount up to 30%. We get an access to PMI standard, PMI picks, and career navigators. We also have access to community. Our community is projectmanagement.com. And we have live events also, which is only for members, exclusively members. Plus, we have tools and templates, publication reports, etc. Membership benefits, we have four pillars: networking, learning, and knowledge sharing, career growth, and events. As you become a chapter member, you get a chance to attend live events and these webinars, which are a part of event section. We have our own new initiatives, introducing Member Corner and Member Spotlight, where we have a space to contribute, share, and evaluate the discourse of project management topics. And we have your experiences through Spotlight. You can just join our social media platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and WhatsApp. So even you have any query, you can send it to these email IDs for membership, volunteering, and general inquiries. Okay, so we know that transformation is no longer just about strategy and tools. It's about igniting changes from within. So from this sessions, what you'll be learning is define basically our speaker will take you further with this. So without further delay, let us all welcome our distinguished speaker for today. And a brief about Eva, I'll just be sharing with you. She is a co-founder and CEO of Synergist. She supports leaders and organizations in implementing sustainable business transformation, leveraging her expertise and credentials in ESG issues. She has experience in the business, mostly for oil and gas, energy sectors, and managing big projects. She has more than 2 decades of experience in consulting, training, in strategy development and implementation. managing complex projects in various sectors I already shared. She is passionate about creating a positive impact and value for all the stakeholders, using analytic skills, strategic thinking, and innovative solutions. She is also a founder for Energy of Research, as Result, which is a consultancy firm that helps client achieving their goals and optimize the result. She has another. She is a co-founder for GPM EMA region, and she has also pursued a program at IMD on leading sustainable business transformation. So, not much taking time of yours. Let's hand over the mic to Eva and enjoy, learn from her. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, good afternoon to everybody. I'm happy that so many of you joined today's webinar about such a vital subject, vital topic to all of us, to all businesses, and the area of project management. So let me take you through the journey of sustainable transformation, uh, requiring different aspects to make it successful and to make the change sustain as well within the organization. But first, let me set up the stage a little bit. We all know that the environment is changing, that the climate is changing. We've already discussed before the webinar started that in the UAE you already experienced again extreme high temperatures in April or in May. The sad fact is that this will continue. But the temperature increase means also lots of extreme weather conditions and high amplitudes. So, of course, this is just the part of the environmental aspects that we as business have impact. But to be fair, to be honest, we must remember that as businesses, as running organizations, companies, we are responsible for approximately 80% of global CO2 emissions, which contribute to the global warming. We already had the warmest year on record last year. And when we talk about climate change, how we impact the environment, we must remember that each time behind those facts, there are also people. These are impacts on how people live, how people run their businesses, run their organizations. And of course, it means that very often, especially extreme weather conditions, can cause floods, disasters for different cities, villages. You can see Spain, USA, Pakistan as well. But on one hand, very often harmful to people, but also we must be aware that all those extreme weather conditions impact also our organizations, they impact our businesses. As you can see, that extreme flood in Spain, in Valencia, it just lasted like a couple of hours, and the total cost was between 50 to 70 billion euros. You can also see how temperature changes. We have from my hometown town in Poland, from Katowice, in 1970s, generally the temperature were around -20. This is the record. And last year we had +23. So that is quite strange for us here. So how to combine all of these? So still setting up the stage. We are talking about sustainability. We are talking about ESG. Very often mixing those two abbreviations. How to understand? Are they the same or not exactly? Very often people put that in exactly the same box. However, the point of view is a little bit different. Sustainability is about how we, as the organization, as the business, impact on environment through, for example, CO2 emissions, carbon footprint, for example, how we impact on our stakeholders like local communities or across the value chain, suppliers, contractors, and customers as well. So this is inside out. So something that goes through our values, through our strategic approach, uh, our core business, so our uniqueness. And on the other hand, the ESG, another perspective, the perspective that goes from outside in, so that the external stakeholders, like investors, that was the original idea, could assess, could compare, and understand how the organization, how the company is resilient, for example, to climate change. How the company is resilient across the value chain and its cooperation with suppliers and its contractors. So those two perspectives, the inside out and outside in, both of them are important. And of course, the top priority, the most important part is where those two areas have the common space. So this is something I will also show it a little bit later, that we should especially focus on when thinking about sustainable management or sustainable transformation. Right. Going right now to how we implement strategies through portfolio and project management in a single bottom line. So I mean traditional business approach to companies, to organizations. When we focus on increasing the financial results only, generally we can imagine like that. So we have the company strategy, then we have some sort of implementation plans, which usually translate into investment portfolio or portfolio of different projects that are necessary to deliver strategic goals, of course. And then we have, of course, projects, the right projects to be managed in the right way, so that as the organization we can say, yes, we are achieving the goals and the metrics as it was supposed to. It was not so easy, of course, but for sure easier than unless we introduce the triple bottom line. Because what sustainability is about in the organizations is taking those three lines into organization, into corporate decisions. So still we want to make profit as the company, as the organization. So still we must build a business case for our projects and programs as well, of course, but understanding what impact we cause on the environment, on the planet, and how can we minimize the negative impact, and also how our projects, how our business as usual impacts people, internal and external stakeholders as well. Getting more complicated. And to be honest, lots of leaders in many organizations, when they start thinking about sustainable business transformation, got that headache. On one hand, you can already see that you must look wider. So there is more complexity. And if more complexity, because we have a broader perspective, not only financial, not only economics, but also environmental and social aspects that should be taken into consideration for building a business case, for example. It means also more independencies and more conflicts to be resolved, more shared stakeholders that we must engage into project management. Another part, looking broader, but also looking in a longer term. Very often, you got quicker financial results than results in the environmental part. So, which perspective to choose, how to balance that? Lots of organizations, lots of leaders have problems with setting priorities. And especially, I must add that in Europe, we are over-regulated with ESG. Lots of regulations, lots of reporting, lots of bureaucracy, and a lot of companies somehow in the middle of the reporting trap, focusing so much on doing the right reporting. One more thing I think to be added here, considering the triple bottom line, we are supposed to be even more focused on benefits and value creation in a long term than on tasks delivery or on the project deliverables. So again, for the project manager, you must look further than your project is completed, especially in the investment projects that are my, most, that I have most of the experience. You got the benefits and the results after the project is completed. And then is that focus for the project manager from the sustainable point of view. Okay, so how to deal with that? It's already, as Simon Sinek says, always start with the why. Why are we changing? Why are we doing it? Who are we doing it for? Is it just because there are some regulations, so just the compliance level? Is it that we want to change because our customers are expecting that, or maybe our investors? Maybe suppliers, that also happens. Maybe that is something that our employees, especially talents, are expecting us to dive in. So what is the purpose? What is the why of the sustainable transformation? This is absolutely important to set up the why before we start thinking about what kind of projects, what kind of initiatives, and how we are going to implement them. And unfortunately, lots of organizations, they think about plenty of different initiatives, plenty of different projects. They implement processes, procedures, methodologies, but the organization doesn't buy it. They don't buy it because they don't understand the why. The people inside don't understand the why, the purpose. So we are not saying about the purpose-driven transformation. That is one thing. They are not motivated and very often, just put themselves a little bit skeptic, especially if they don't get the common understanding of what sustainability is. That Still, we want to make business. This is not something, that some crazy ecologists invented. No, still we want to make business. We want to have solid business case, but we want to also address the environmental and social aspects. From this slide, what you already see is that we are talking about change that goes across the whole organization. And change cannot happen successfully if we don't have human-centric approach, if we don't have people on our side. I've seen many organizations where they set up the goals. They said that they want to address the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals or ESG targets and so on, but people in the organization didn't buy that. They were not convinced. There was, taken like something quite strange, maybe. So talking about people, talking about having them on our side means talking about the culture as well. And already Peter Drucker said that many years ago that corporate culture eats strategy on breakfast. Okay, so let's let's focus a little bit on the why, as that I truly believe most important part of the site of the process. Some useful tools that might be helpful to build the momentum, to convince people, to involve people so that they want to join the transformation, that they are on your side. Different double materiality matrices. By the way, when you see that exclamation mark on the slide, it means there are some tools that that you may use for your in your organizations. So the double materiality matrix, that is the tool that can be used in different variations on the strategic, so company level, to define the company's sustainable strategy. But it's also a very nice tool to be used for the portfolio management or for the project assessment itself. And you may use it either in a complicated way as we have in Europe according to our regulations that usually lasts for a couple of months. You can use the GRI standard, more friendly, but you may also use for the discussions something that is good opening, especially if the SDGs, if the sustainability is not well introduced in your organization. So something like that. So and you may use it, as I've said, for project, portfolio, or the higher level. So just having the discussion with your internal and external stakeholders on the SDGs and their importance. Of course, it is nice to dive deeper into the SDGs and to specific actions which are stated inside those nice colorful boxes. But having the discussion, what is important for your stakeholders, especially the external ones, what is important for your company and different groups of internal stakeholders, you can get the good understanding of priorities. Good understanding of priorities, which, as you all experienced project managers know, that we can't have everything in our projects Because if we say that, yes, this is important, yes, this is our priority, it means that we should assess time, resources, and budget. So, what we want to focus on, having in mind that clue that less is more. Again, there are many organizations, just let me go back for a while, who say all the SDGs are important. We want to support all of them because it looks, so nice from the marketing purposes. But then when you go to the what and how to stage, so to the implementation phase, then the organization realize, unfortunately, we don't have the resources. And very often the organizations who claim to be so sustainable that they started, lots of different sustainable initiatives, they were very often sued in the court for the greenwashing because they promised a lot and they couldn't deliver. So just for this tool, less is more. Now, how to the next step, so how to make the sustainable transformation happen. Think about those challenges that we face. Here are the core skills according to World Economic Forum. Lots of them, actually most of them, they are so-called green competences. Because in order to apply sustainable solutions, very often we must change the way we think. We cannot continue doing the same projects in the same way and deliver the same products as we did in the last years. We want to look for circular solutions, different products, thinking different about the life cycle of the product. So a lot of competences connected with problem solving, analytical thinking, creative thinking. That is something that we need to become change agents in our organizations, and also to build those competences in our teams so they can start thinking in a new way, so that we can build such a, I call it, sustainable mindset. So trying to do new things in a very often new ways of doing. So just to, again, give you some takeaways and some tools that you may use for the sustainable transformation and that human-centric approach. And I expect that some of them you already know and use in projects, but maybe for different purposes. Thinking about problems and problem solving. And also thinking about how usually we approach to looking for the solutions and to the implementation. Generally, we move usually too quickly, too fast to the implementation. So just this quote for you, the more time we have to spend on initiating projects, planning, on thinking about what kind of problem are we solving, what we want to address. The tool that can be used for the for the holistic approach is for example, the iceberg method. I often use it with leaders and teams to discuss, on one hand, some individual choices. Why do we act like that? But also to have that same impact from the company perspective. Why the company is trying to uh, build the margin, build the financial result on the economy of scale instead of thinking about different business model. As you can see from the company's perspective, there was and still there is a lot of change that we are not thinking right now that much about selling products anymore. We are more thinking about selling services, selling projects. And this is the tool that should help us to get to the really basis of some mental models that stand behind some decisions. Another tool that for sure you know from the project management is the 5 why. Traditionally, we use it, for example, in the risk assessment, risk identification process, but also for the quality assurance in project management. So what really is the problem? What really is the case that we want to solve? And maybe with this tool, we may find a different way to approach it. Much less costly, for example. Just to give you the example why this kind of thinking is important in the sustainable business transformation. Very easy one. When we define the problem just like this, that the elevator is too slow, what kind of solutions can we find? You may think probably how to speed up the elevator, maybe to reprogram it, maybe make some investments, either to install the new elevator or replace the engine or something like that. Generally, we can see a CapEx project already here. But when we understand and reframe the problem, actually, the problem is that people don't like waiting, and the waiting is annoying. So if the waiting is annoying, yes, I can see in chat, you can install mirrors. You can use different solutions to make people that the wait seems shorter. You can play the music, insert hand sanitizer, put some ads, anything, a movie, sure, so that the time goes faster. And this is the kind of thinking that we need in sustainable project management. Reframing. So thinking about the same from a different perspective. Probably you know this, or some of you may know this picture. Some of you probably see the young lady. Some of you see the old woman. Some of you maybe see both of them. And maybe some of you don't see any of them. Reframing the problem means that we may search for different, less costly solution, or maybe less impactful for the environment, having less negative impact on the environment. Or having people more involved in thinking of that. And what is here important, that thinking about such an open attitude to innovation, because here actually we are talking about innovative approach to old, current, and future problems. So having different approach means having the culture in the organization that says, yes, you are welcome to have new ideas. You are welcome to think in different ways. You are welcome to experiment. Because in the sustainable approach, within that complexity, we cannot act in the same way as we did in the last years. To set the innovation free and creative thinking or lateral thinking, again, some tools. And some of them, I'm sure you know, because again, we use them in the risk management, stakeholders identification, generally project development, and they are very often used in the design thinking approach. And this is something that we really welcome for the sustainable purposes. So stop thinking about your own limitations. Stop censoring yourself. So this is crazy eight. So just to think more and more ideas in a short time, 8 ideas in 8 minutes to solve the problem. Or the Disney method, again, having the child approach where everything's possible, having the pessimistic approach, having the realistic approach, and then looking for the solutions. Or the bonus 6 hats, probably you know that, or 3, 5, 8. So the way of structurized brainstorming approach. So these are just some examples that, as I've said, probably you already know, and you may use them to think about how to make my project or the whole transformation uh, impactful, but maybe less costly, not focused on just compliance on regulations, because you will not build value. There will be no value creation if your approach is just to comply to the regulations or just to work on the brand protection and marketing purposes. If you want to make something more, then must create environment for innovation and creative thinking. What I very often do at the beginning to define the purpose from the strategic point of view with leaders, we use another tool that is called Future Back. I tell them, just saying very shortly, I tell them that imagine that it's the year 2035, so 10 years from now, and your sustainable transformation is a truly successful. And wow, it is such a good case, such a best practice, that they invited you for the interview in the well-known magazine like Time, Forbes, The Economist, whatever. And you are on the top of the magazine. And just please, in the interview, tell us, how did you do that? How did it happen? So we are not in the sustainable approach planning forward, but from the future back. not limiting ourselves that, well, it's not possible, we don't have such a regulation, we don't have such a partnership or support, and so on and so on. No, we already succeed with the transformation. And just how did it happen? What did you need to do during those 10 years to make it successful? But just focusing again here on these tools for creative and lateral thinking, when we have the why, when we have the what, so we have the idea, then it's much easier for us. We are on the track that we already know very well from the project management, that to think about the how to. Because with the ideas on the table, you can just, use different matrices and analyze them to choose the ideas that give you the best effort, the best result. The best result with the smallest effort. For example, one of the matrices. Okay. So this is something that you already involved your team, involved people in your organization for the solution. Now you can ask them and involve them in what should be implemented, and then it's much easier with the project to go on. At the end, going back to the company level, just to touch the big picture, because we are talking about addressing the triple bottom line into our traditional organization single bottom line. And to address that, we add environmental and social perspective. And also what is important, we address the idea of the value chain. Because very often it's easier to find better and cheaper solutions, for example, for the decarbonization within our value chain, within our suppliers, stakeholders, within transportation procedures, than in our organization itself. Very often it happens that we already are, so decarbonized that the emissions are very low, and that there are no interesting for the moment solutions to decarbonize more without great financial effect. And it's so much easier to get good results, good effects for the environment when we start working across the value chain. Of course, for the PMO, which is in that medium, in the tire, in the medium level, it means it's much more difficult. You already see that very often, although we can have the same environmental goal across the value chain, probably we may not share the same business goal. It means who's gonna pay for that across the value chain. So more coordination for sure. More actors, more stakeholders here. And still, the board's perspective, of course, still the financial aspects, but also achieving the sustainability goals. So just seeing the why, what, and how to, we have not only the financial goals at the top, at the why, but also discovered with our internal and external stakeholders what are those sustainable or ESG goals important for us and our stakeholders, we've got the momentum because our organization already understands, because they were involved, what is important and what we want to achieve. Then it's much easier to think about sustainable portfolio and then thinking about projects. But this cannot happen without thinking about people and culture. If you want to achieve the sustainable transformation only through change management procedures, portfolio project management processes, it will not succeed. People won't buy it. They won't stand by your side. They will think this is just some sort of marketing, some new fashion. I've heard so many obstacles from people that why? What is it for? What's it all about? We must start the sustainable transformation from the people and culture level so that they can support the transformation as it goes across not only the whole organization, it goes across the whole value chain. And although it's not easy, as you can see, I'm, very passionate about that. It brings a lot of fun. It brings a lot of fun because we believe, people who think in a sustainable way, that we are doing something good. People want to have purpose. And purpose-driven organizations are not focused only on making profit, but also to have that higher purpose, to doing something good for the environment, doing something good for the people. And as you can, open that innovation part of the innovation mind across the organization, then it's really, bringing a lot of results and a lot of fun and pleasure through that. Thank you very much. If you'd like, please contact me on the LinkedIn. You can use the QR code, or you can use the QR code also to download the presentation. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Thanks a lot for sharing a wonderful knowledge with us. If anybody has a question, they can post it in Q&A section. So uh, Eva will be happy to answer those questions. So I think it was totally an understandable presentation. So they have learned a lot, and maybe everybody is trying to implement ESG in their daily routine, being a project manager. So if anybody has a question, so they can uh, post it in the Q&A section. So I mean, if I can read the comments, they have understood. Like Kim has said, fun can help bringing in. Here it is. Yeah, emotional connect. Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned reframing, right? So
Mhm.
reframing is one of a very good solution, because rather than if you have a problem and then you are just finding a solution, so you should reframe the scenario, and then you might get a different solution for that.
Yes, especially in the environment that is, we have the VUCA word. It's changing so quickly that it's not the time that we can continue doing as we did before, really. And reframing is a tool that very quickly you can do it during one workshop,
Hmm.
but the results, the implementation, can have impact across many months or even years.
Okay, so we got a question. I was also thinking about the same question to ask you: how to deal with the resistance from the top tier managers? It was in my mind also. I was about to ask, and we saw this question. So if this kind of situation occurs, like we have a top tier managers, we want to implement, but they are not ready for that, or they are not accepting it. Then what is, I mean, how to deal with that?
Mhm. That is actually a quite common situation. And I always start with the setting the stage, as I did today. Because even across the top managers, very often they think that, sustainability, so that is something about the environment. And my investors ask me about my financial results every quarter.
Hmm.
So what I do is, on one hand, I tell them that yes, still you are supposed to make the financial results, but be aware of the impacts of your organization and make the organization that is resilient to the climate change. When we think about 10 years perspectives, climate risks are one of the top risks according to World Economic Forum to the organizations. So that is one thing that I usually do. The other one is I present them examples of corporates, of companies who shifted their strategy into sustainability, and I present them capitalization and financial results. So, how they created value and competitive advantage for their company thanks to sustainable approach. And those examples show that the increase goes like that, most of them. But it can happen when you start with the purpose, when you start with the why. If you just collect different initiatives to just look nice from the marketing point of view, or for the regulations compliance,
Hmm.
then it's not strategic approach. If you want to create the value, you should really start with addressing how we want to maybe change the business model, maybe enter different market or a different product. What can we do based on our core business to be more sustainable?
Correct. So in case like you have given why, what, and how to, if any of them is missing, so does it have an impact, or it can go through?
It can go through, but it's always some kind of stuck.
Okay.
I,
So
from my perspective, the worst thing is to forget about the why,
yeah.
because then lots of people think that yes, another procedure, another project, okay, maybe some guys from CSR or marketing department thought about that.
So there's one question from Suraj. How do we identify the sustainability opportunities where we come from and technical background, technology background? So how do you, his question is, how do we identify the sustainability opportunities when he's
Mm-hmm.
coming from a technology background?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
um, well, I may start my answer as a typical consultant, so forgive me. It depends. um, it depends on the specifics of the company. Sometimes you start addressing small opportunities, and very often this is considering um, on the product that we offer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I sell the product? How can I sell the service to my customers, which is which has less negative impact on the environment, where the my communication with the customer is clear, so that product part. And here
Mm-hmm.
I look for the opportunities. And the other part to focus on are the processes. So how the product is delivered. And
Okay.
here I can say project management processes, but also all the technological processes. How can I do that in a way that, for example, is using less energy or using less resources? Or how can I think about waste? Maybe this kind of waste can be reused, recycled, or sold as a product when we think about some circular solutions. So product and processes perspective is a good way to looking for the opportunities.
Okay, thank you. So we have another question from Mohammed. How do you deal with isolated teams, siloed teams, to ensure full engagement, especially where they don't see direct values to their goals and performance objectives? So how do you deal with?
Mhm. Very often at the beginning, when the organization starts its sustainable journey, it has a few person, a small team responsible for sustainability. Okay, and they usually try to find a way to talk to people,
Mhm.
because to make sustainability successful, it must go across the entire organization. Yeah, and the basis is education and trainings for people to understanding that everything around the purpose.
Okay.
Very often the first obstacle that people see that, another procedure, more work to do. What for? So just trainings and education to sort out that at the very beginning, before actually we announce that we are having a new sustainable strategy or some sustainable projects.
Okay. So there's one more question from Kanan. Kanan wants to know any medium scale company where the successful transformation has taken place. Do you want to name any company?
Mhm. Yes, sure. Um, Unilever is from is well known as sustainable company. But let me give you some more difficult example. Oil and gas. There is a Finnish company called Neste. They started their sustainable journey in 2015. They completely changed their strategy. And uh, before that, they were called Neste Oil, and they were the biggest refinery in Finland. And right now, they are the leader in biodiesel, biofuel in the world. And as you can see, this is the example that I often show, that their results across the last 10 years, as they started the new strategy, is steadily growing. Schneider Electric, another one. Nestle, again from another part. But you may look at the, for example, sustainability Dow Jones index. That is the largest index that presents sustainable companies.
Okay.
For some more examples.
Thank you for sharing. So there is one last question. We'll take it from Suraj. I request every attendees to post the questions in Q&A section because it's difficult to trace them in the chat section. So Suraj is asking, as we are moving towards AI and quantum computing, where you need a lot of energy to run this, so global warming will be much more harder to make it sustainable. So what is your take on this?
Uh, uh, that is so-called AI sustainability paradox. Because on one hand, I absolutely believe that AI is crucial for sustainability. When, thinking and making decisions across the value chains, having that large amount of data, uh, it's wonderful to have AI tools supporting you. But on the other hand, yes, the energy consumption increases mostly because of AI data centers. So the greatest challenge here is that those data centers run on green energy. so that they don't leave any carbon footprint. But yes, that is a challenge for sure. But I believe that, that is said that most of the companies developing AI, they're really aware of that and thinking about uh, green energy investments so that AI development doesn't contribute to more carbon footprint.
Yeah. Thank you, Eva. We'll be ending the session here. Thank you, Eva, for sharing your wonderful knowledge on this topic, where your focus was on people, purpose, and culture. You discussed about triple bottom line, like people, planet, and prosperity. And I mean, this should be in terms of sustainability. This should be a focus. Uh, you have told about tools which we can use, like double materiality metrics, where we have company, portfolio, and projects. And thank you for sharing this, Einstein, because I think this is for most of us, if it is like if we have 60 minutes and there's a problem, so we focus mostly 55 minutes on problem and 5 minutes about finding a solution. Next, you shared about like iceberg method, what we saw above the, say, what how iceberg look like. So what is below it? It's more important. Then you give an example like even pattern and structure, the mental model, and reframing, which is more important, which was also mentioned in the chat section. Somebody has mentioned reframing, the example you gave for an elevator, which is more important. And like free innovation and creative thinking capabilities that Crazy Eight, these Deborn had the Disney method like a child. And yeah, true. That's people and culture is more important. So thanks for sharing this wonderful knowledge with us. We appreciate each and every attendee for sharing, for attending today's webinar and making it a success. Also for contribution in the chat section and Q&A section, for sharing your valuable questions throughout the discussions. We wouldn't be here without the dedication of our team. Thanks to our marketing team for promoting the webinars on our website and social media. A special thanks to PMI chapter volunteers from membership, outreach, volunteering, and finance team for their valuable support in making this event possible. Finally, a thanks to my team behind the camera, Amir, for their contribution behind and making it successful. We hope you found this webinar helpful and can this can help us in our future upcoming projects. We look forward to see you in next upcoming webinar. Thank you for joining, everyone. Have a nice day. Thank you,
Thank you
Eva.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you.